Hi, my name is Big, and I live in my 2011 BMW. And so I'm making this second video to my legally speaking titled video because I wanted to expound on a couple things. What I said earlier about being able to turn yourself into a magistrate, and them telling you, well, we can't let you see the magistrate. No, the magistrate doesn't overhear your case. That's a lie. And I wanted to double check myself and also use my memory bank to refresh myself on what a magistrate can or cannot do. Magistrate just oversees or adjudicates on legal matters. Now, back in the Wild Wild West days, they had a magistrate. And yes, the magistrate could set bond. The magistrate could send you to prison, sentence you to jail time. Magistrate is a judge. Just like the judge is a civilian. Yeah, a judge is a civilian. Anybody can be a judge. You can be a trial judge. That's a judge that you see when you go to court. You can be a magistrate. Okay, that's the judge that you typically see when you're arrested and you have your case heard to determine whether or not you can receive bail or not. But a magistrate can do all the same things that a trial judge can do. And back in the Wild Wild West days, yes, the magistrate could overhear cases in which, again, a person is turning themselves in. And they don't want to go to court, aka they don't want to go to trial. They just decide they're guilty and they want to have the matter over and done with. Okay? Once upon a time, I wanted to be a criminal defense attorney. I told my dad, and I can almost remember where I was when I told my dad, because I was a teenager. I was still in high school. And I told my dad, he asked me what I wanted to be, and I said, Dad, I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a lawyer because the way they do black and brown people in this country isn't right. I wanted to make a difference. Okay? But when I found within the last, and this recently changed, because I wanted to be an attorney up until the last, I would say, 2 years, 3 years. Once I began being stalked and my life continually became messed with and I couldn't get any satisfaction, I can get no satisfaction. When I couldn't get any satisfaction, I decided I don't want to be an attorney anymore because there's no justice in this country. So I don't want to be an attorney. You want me to fight in a court of law for someone else? You want me to fight for justice for someone else in a court of law? You want me to fight for someone else? You want me to fight for justice for someone else in a court of law, and I can't even get that for myself? I don't fucking think so. Fuck you, and fuck Lady Justice, who is supposed to be blind, who is never blind. Because justice isn't blind. It sees color. It sees class. Huh? So I said, no, I don't want to be an attorney anymore. So I say all this to say, to expound on my the first thing I said, one of the things I said in the original video, was that a magistrate, that you can go to a magistrate to overhear your matter, your legal matter. Yes, you can. I don't care what anybody tells you. They can say, well, no, this is a lower court thing. Hey, you had a petty crime. You went into Sears and Roebuck and stole some socks. You can go to the police precinct. You can go down there and turn yourself in. They'll let you see the magistrate. That's a lie. You can see, a magistrate can overhear higher court matters, like criminal matters that are of the harm to the body, like murder or attempted murder. A magistrate can overhear that shit, because they used to do it back in the Wild Wild West days. Matter of fact, they were doing that shit up until the 80s, up through the 80s, up until the early 90s. They were doing that crap, and they can still do it. So a magistrate can overhear, oversee, adjudicate, however you wish to word that, any matter that a trial judge, someone who is in the court of law, overhears or adjudicates. So that's a lie. What happens, though, as I told you before, typically speaking, people don't turn themselves in for crimes. They don't really do that. They're like, fuck that. I want to give myself some time. If these motherfuckers try to find me, give myself some time. Maybe somebody, maybe a snitch, maybe the person who saw me didn't really see me. They're not going to snitch on me. Whatever. Because what used to happen is, back in the Wild Wild West days, person committed a crime. And they could go in, and they could turn themselves in, they can talk to the magistrate, or what would happen is, sheriff would get involved. He's going to get involved anyway, but he gets involved because a witness said, they filed a complaint. I saw Kenny stab his wife. Now, I was down at the bar, she came down there with a man, and Kenny came in probably like 2 hours later, and he stabbed her. The judge then looks into the matter and talks to Kenny. And if he finds that the witness is credible, or if he thinks that there's some real validity to what was being said, that this person wasn't saying in a drunken stupor, he'll arrest Kenny. And he'll take the matter to the district attorney. Okay? The prosecuting attorney, which is a prosecuting attorney for that municipality. And say, look, I got a witness down at the bar that said they saw Kenny come in there and stab his wife. Okay? Now this is Clinton on there off a route. He's a pretty solid guy, great guy. And the prosecuting attorney, district attorney may say, you know what? Let me look into this. Let me look into it. Yeah, I think you should. I think we can prosecute. I think we can take him to trial. Let's see if we can get him to confess first. Make it easy, quick and easy. Otherwise, we're going to go to court. And that's how it goes. But yes, people did turn themselves in to the magistrate. They went right up to the fucking window. And yes, there are towns, big cities, where you can still go to the fucking window. You go to the police precinct, you go to the window. You can tell the police, I did this crime. They'll arrest you, and yes, you will go see a magistrate. So fuck the bullshit. Whoever tells you that is lying to you. Doesn't matter if you stole something out of the Sears and Roebuck. Doesn't matter if you beat your crap out of the neighbor. Doesn't matter if you stabbed your wife, whatever. Yeah, you can always turn yourself in. And yes, you can always have your matter heard by the magistrate. That's old school, but they can still do it. A magistrate is nothing but a judge. That's all they are. That's all they are, is a judge. Okay, that's number one. Matter number two. Is what I said about saving the victim, the purported victim, mental anguish, trauma, any challenges that may come up with having to be heard, be present in a court of law. If you choose to go to a court of law versus going to the magistrate, let me just tell you. You can have your trial, you can have your matter. If you go to court, you can have the matter heard before a trial judge without being present. You can have your attorney be there, and he can represent you. You don't have to go to court. You don't have to show up for court. No, you don't. Just saying you gotta come to court. You ain't gotta come to court. No, you don't. You don't have to come to court. Same thing with going to a magistrate. Do you understand? You go to the magistrate, you show up. Guess who's not there? The person that the aggrieved, the person that you hurt or harmed in some way, whether it was monetarily or whether it was physically. If you have a trial where there's a trial court, there's a judge there, so you go to court and there's a trial. Guess who doesn't have to be there? The victim! The aggrieved does not have to be there. Just like with the magistrate. You go, you confess. Guess who's not there? The aggrieved, the victim. When you go to trial, the aggrieved does not have to be there. Does not have to be present. In order for that court proceeding to continue, they don't have to be there. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't because it's too traumatizing. Sometimes they don't. They don't have to be there. They do not have to be there. Their attorney can be there. They don't have to be there. The person who files the complaint, typically, so you stole my riding tractor. I filed a complaint with the court. To send your ass to court. I'm going to show up. You understand? You hit my little boy because his baseball went through your Mercedes-Benz window. I filed a complaint. I'm going to show up to court. Do you understand? The other person, Bobby, whose Mercedes-Benz was, doesn't have to show up to court. And guess what? The judge, the trial judge, can still hear the case. He can still adjudicate the case, baby, with your being present or not. If you say that you are pro se, you can still say, I ain't coming. You can still say that, baby. You can still say you're not coming to court and not show up to court. And guess what? The judge can still adjudicate the case. So I don't want to hear this bullshit about you having to show up to court. If you are the victim, you didn't file the complaint. But let's say the prosecuting attorney / district attorney filed the complaint on behalf of the state because he felt or she felt like it should be prosecuted. You don't have to come to court. You don't have to come to court. Be nice to have your corroboration, but you don't have to come to court. If you are a person who attacked another person, you can go down to the police precinct and turn yourself in. Say, I'm confessing this crime. And I like to see the magistrate to hear my matter heard, have my matter heard, this matter heard. And guess who ain't there? The person you hurt, they agree, they're not there. They don't have to be there. So I don't want to hear this bullshit. You know, the trial or the matter before a magistrate can be heard without the aggrieved person there or without the complainant or without the person who's defending themselves being there. So if you hit somebody upside the head and the state, the municipality wants to prosecute your ass, you ain't got to come to court. You don't. If a person said, you hit my kid, I'm filing a complaint, they're going to show up to court. That's the person who's complaining. That's the person who is acting as like the prosecuting attorney. They're the prosecuting side. They're the plaintiff side. They're going to say, yeah, I'm coming to court because you hit my kid. But do you have to come to court if you've been accused of a wrongdoing? No, you do not. Just like you can go to the magistrate and have your matter heard, and the aggrieved person won't be there because you're turning yourself in because you're already admitting guilt. You're already admitting guilt. And I don't want to hear this crap that, no, it's a lower court thing, and you can do it with any matter. You can do it with any matter. A magistrate is a magistrate. A magistrate is a judge. That's all. One's in a courtroom. One's usually in a box. Because how it used to be back in the Wild Wild West days, baby. And they still were doing that shit in 1985 and 1889. You could turn yourself in to the magistrate. Got it? So I don't want to hear this nonsense. You can